In the quiet chambers of every human heart, there resides a sacred question, a question that shapes destinies, awakens dormant power, and summons invisible forces into form. What do you want in life? Most people drift through existence answering everything except this. They speak of what they fear, what they lack, what they hope they might one day deserve, yet seldom do they declare with calm certainty the life they are willing to claim. But the universe, ever responsive, listens not to hesitation but to clarity. It vibrates to the tone of conviction. It rushes to meet the soul that knows what it wants. When you dare to decide, you align yourself with the invisible currents of good that have always been awaiting your command. Life is not a maze you must solve. It is a mirror that reflects your inner pattern. Change the pattern, and the reflection rearranges itself. Every desire you hold is not random. It is an echo of something already prepared for you in the unseen. Desire is your soul pointing toward its own fulfillment. Yet many people fear wanting. They fear disappointment, judgment, or the possibility of wanting too much. But to want is not to be greedy. It is to acknowledge the divine spark within you that seeks expression. The oak tree does not apologize for reaching upward. The river does not question its right to flow. And you, too, are meant to expand, to stretch, to grow into the fullness of your own design. Ask yourself, therefore, with bravery and honesty, what do I truly desire? Not what others expect from you, not what the world has conditioned you to settle for, but what your inner voice whispers when you are quiet enough to hear. Your desire for love reveals the love planted within you. Your longing for abundance reveals the abundance assigned to you. Your dream of purpose reveals a path already lit in the spiritual realm. The moment you name your desire, you set a law in motion. Every thought becomes a seed dropped into the fertile soil of the universe. If you sow fear, you reap delay. If you sow doubt, you harvest confusion. But if you sow certainty, as small as a mustard seed, the mountains begin to shift. You do not need to know the how. You only need to choose the what. Life arranges itself around a definite request. When you speak your desire with calm faith, circumstances that once seemed impossible begin to realign. Helpers appear, doors open, ideas arrive, the invisible becomes visible. It is not magic, it is spiritual law. Clarity of desire shapes destiny because the mind is constantly creating patterns that the outer world eventually mirrors. When a person knows exactly what they want, their thoughts, emotions, choices, and actions begin to flow in a single, powerful direction. This inner alignment is not forceful or frantic. It is a quiet authority that moves through the subconscious and impresses itself upon the unseen laws that govern experience. Clarity is not merely a mental statement of preference. It is a deep inner recognition of what feels true, necessary, and resonant for your soul. When desire is clear, the path ahead begins to straighten, even if you cannot yet see every step. The universe responds not to confusion or contradiction, but to a firm imprint of intention. Without clarity, the mind becomes scattered, chasing half-formed longings that shift with mood, fear, or circumstance. In such a state, energy leaks in many directions, weakening the magnetism required for manifestation. A person who wants 100 different things with no conviction receives only fragments, because the inner signal is inconsistent. But when a single desire becomes defined, when the heart chooses, something powerful happens. The mind begins to sort, filter, and reorganize itself around that focus. Suddenly, you recognize which opportunities matter and which do not. You notice ideas you would have ignored before. You see possibilities that had always been present but invisible to a wandering mind. Clarity is a force. It eliminates the unnecessary. It cuts through confusion. It frees you from indecision, which is one of the greatest thieves of destiny. Many people fail not because they lack talent or luck, but because they never decide what they truly want. They wait for someone else to choose for them, or they wait for conditions to be perfect. But clarity is a choice that must come before the conditions. You do not wait for life to prove your desire is possible. You declare your desire, and life begins to rearrange itself in ways that make it possible. When you are clear about what you want, your subconscious mind becomes a faithful servant. It begins to notice resources, perspectives, and connections that align with your intention. It works constantly, even while you sleep, to bring order to the chaos of experience. What you repeatedly affirm with clarity becomes a mental blueprint, and this blueprint becomes the mold into which the universe pours its substance. Confused desires cannot form a stable mold. They shift too easily, so nothing lasting can take shape. But a clear desire is steady, and steadiness allows the invisible forces of creation to gather and form. Clarity also strengthens intuition. When your desire is precise, your inner guidance becomes more recognizable. You feel the gentle pull toward certain actions and the quiet resistance toward others. This sensitivity arises because you are no longer pulled in 10 directions at once. You begin to trust your inner voice because it is no longer drowned out by the noise of conflicting wants. The clearer the desire, the louder the guidance becomes. In relationships, clarity prevents unnecessary heartache. When you know what you want from connections, whether it is respect, presence, loyalty, partnership, or growth, you stop entertaining situations that contradict your values. You stop negotiating with your worth. You are no longer confused about mixed signals because you are not seeking validation from places that cannot offer what you desire. Clarity becomes a shield, gently filtering out the wrong energies and drawing in those that resonate with your intention. In career or purpose, clarity turns effort into mastery. When you know what direction your life is meant to move in, you stop dabbling and start committing. You develop skill instead of scattering your focus. You invest your time in what strengthens your path instead of chasing distractions that lead nowhere. Without clarity, years can pass while you remain in the same place, thinking you're moving simply because you're busy. But with clarity, each action becomes meaningful, each step adds momentum, and each challenge becomes a doorway rather than a diversion. Emotionally, clarity frees you from the weight of uncertainty. When you have not decided what you want, you carry a constant undercurrent of anxiety. Every option feels like both a possibility and a threat, and the mind spins in circles trying to evaluate outcomes that never materialize. Clarity quiets that storm. Your emotional energy becomes more grounded because your desire gives you a center. Even if the path is unfamiliar, you feel anchored, because you know the direction your spirit is moving toward. This inner stability changes your posture, your behavior, and your vibration. People sense confidence in your presence because your energy is no longer diffused. Spiritually, clarity acts as a signal to the unseen forces that govern the timing and unfolding of life. Desire, when clear, becomes a command rather than a wish. It does not beg, it instructs, it declares, it invites cooperation from the invisible. Clarity is not stubbornness or attachment. It is the recognition that your desire is not separate from your destiny. It is a seed already planted in the spiritual realm, seeking expression through your willingness to claim it. When you become clear about your desire, you align with the spiritual law that states that every sincere desire is already provided for in essence. Your clarity opens the gate through which provision, opportunity, and alignment flow. Even challenges become easier to navigate when your desire is clear. Without clarity, obstacles feel like signs to quit. With clarity, they simply become detours or trainings that refine your strength. You stop questioning whether the goal is worth it because your desire itself provides the answer. You move with purpose, not pressure. Even your setbacks begin to serve you, sharpening your intuition, strengthening your resilience, and preparing you for what you have already claimed internally. Clarity is not about controlling outcomes. It is about naming them. Once you name what you want, you can move with a sense of inner power rather than desperation. You are no longer seeking permission from the world. You are giving direction to your world. Destiny does not unfold by chance. It unfolds by instruction. That instruction begins with clarity. Desire is a divine signal, not a flaw, because it rises from the deepest part of your being, carrying with it the imprint of something meant for you. It is not a random impulse or a weakness to be suppressed, but a spiritual whisper pointing you toward the life you are designed to live. Every true desire, the kind that lingers in your heart even when you try to ignore it, carries a quiet authority. It is the soul remembering its path. Many people have been taught to distrust their desires, to shrink from them, or to view them as selfish or unrealistic. But the truth is that genuine desire does not arise from ego. It arises from alignment with the unseen pattern of your destiny. What you long for at the core is what your spirit is prepared to express. Desire is the blueprint of your potential. It reveals what wants to unfold through you. Just as a seed contains within it the complete pattern of the tree it will become, your desire contains the pattern of the life you are meant to shape. The oak does not apologize for wanting to grow tall, nor does the river feel guilty for wanting to run its full course. Their nature pulls them forward, and your desires are that same pull in human form. They move you toward expansion. They call forth the dormant power within you. They do not diminish you, they ignite you. When you treat desire as something divine rather than something shameful, your entire relationship with life changes. You begin to see that your longing is not a mistake but a message. Every desire that refuses to fade is evidence of something already alive in the invisible realms. It is an inner compass. It directs your intuition. It stirs your imagination. It sharpens your awareness. It guides your choices long before you understand why. It is not asking for your permission. It is asking for your cooperation. People often silence their desires because they fear disappointment or judgment. They worry that wanting more means being ungrateful for what they have. But gratitude and desire are not opposites. Gratitude roots you, desire grows you. Both are necessary. To deny desire is to deny growth. To deny growth is to deny the expansion of your soul. When you honor your desires, you step into a flow that is larger than you, a current that carries you toward the fullness of your potential. Desire is also a form of communication between you and the universe. It is the way life speaks to you about what is possible. When you desire love, you are being shown your capacity to give and receive love. When you desire abundance, you are being shown your capacity to circulate and create value. When you desire purpose, you are being shown the gifts within you that are waiting to be expressed. Desire is not about taking from the world. It is about uncovering what you are meant to bring to the world. Your longing reveals your offering. If desire were something to be distrusted, it would not feel so natural, so persistent, so intertwined with your identity. True desire is not impulsive or chaotic. It is not the fleeting craving of the moment. It is the quiet, steady pull that remains even after fear has argued against it. It survives doubt. It survives delay. It survives logic. It remains because it is connected to something eternal. It is the spark that refuses to go out because it is linked to the source that lit it. When you embrace desire as divine, you free yourself from guilt and hesitation. You stop treating your dreams as fantasies and start recognizing them as instructions. You begin to sense that desire is not asking you to chase anything. It is asking you to align with what is already prepared for you. The universe does not give you desire without giving you the path. The path may not be visible at first, but it opens step by step as you move in faith. Desire is the invitation. Action is your acceptance. Desire also reveals your authentic self. Before the world's expectations shaped you, before fear taught you to shrink, before disappointment made you careful, there was a version of you that knew what it wanted without apology. That pure self still speaks through desire. When you ignore it, you disconnect from your own truth. When you honor it, you reconnect with your essence. You stop living from habit and start living from intention. You stop settling for survival and start moving toward fulfillment. When people suppress their desires, they often mistake resignation for maturity. They begin to believe that wanting less is the same as being wise. But true wisdom is not the abandonment of desire, it is the understanding of its purpose. Maturity does not mean shrinking your dreams, it means refining them until they reflect your soul rather than your fears. If desire were truly dangerous, it would lead you into emptiness. But genuine desire leads you into growth, contribution, love, purpose, and expansion. It leads you into the life you are meant to live. Desire also awakens courage. When something matters deeply to you, you find strength within yourself that you did not know existed. You face risks that once frightened you. You embrace change that once felt overwhelming. You rise to challenges that once seemed impossible. This courage does not come from force. It comes from longing. It comes from the feeling that your life cannot remain the same. Desire pulls courage from your depths the way a magnet pulls iron. It draws out the parts of you that were asleep. Even when you feel unworthy, desire remains. Even when you doubt yourself, desire calls you forward. Even when others cannot understand your longing, it continues to speak within you. It does not depend on circumstances or validation. It exists because it is part of your spiritual identity. You did not choose it randomly. It chose you because it belongs to you. Desire is a divine signal because it belongs not to your limitations, but to your destiny. It is the echo of your future calling to you from the unseen. It is the language of possibility written into your spirit. When you listen to it without fear, without guilt, and without apology, you discover that desire is not asking you to become something you are not. It is guiding you to become everything you already are in truth. Thought is the seed of manifestation, because every experience you encounter in life begins first as a subtle impression within the mind. Nothing appears in the outer world without first existing as an inner cause. Thought is the quiet architect behind all circumstances, shaping the invisible patterns that later unfold as reality. When a thought is repeated, nourished, or emotionally charged, it plants itself deeply into the subconscious, where it grows roots and begins to shape your vibration, your actions, your expectations, and the opportunities that rise to meet you. This is why a single thought held with conviction can alter the entire direction of a life. Thought is not passive. It is creative, directive, formative. It is the starting point from which destiny takes shape. Every idea you entertain is like a seed dropped into fertile soil. Some seeds are planted intentionally, chosen with care, aligned with your desires. Others fall into your mind through habit, fear, or the influence of others. But whether planted with awareness or absorbed unconsciously, every thought carries the potential to grow, to express itself, and to create an outcome. The mind does not distinguish between seeds of hope and seeds of worry. It grows whatever it is given. This is why the mastery of thought is the mastery of creation. When you choose your thoughts with awareness, you choose your future. When you allow your mind to be filled with doubt, fear, or limitation, you unconsciously participate in the creation of experiences that reflect those inner states. Thought is the beginning of the law of attraction, not in the superficial sense of wishing for something, but in the profound sense of shaping your inner frequency. A thought held consistently generates a vibration, and that vibration draws conditions that harmonize with it. You cannot hold thoughts of lack and expect abundance. You cannot dwell in fear and attract peace. The outer world mirrors the inner world with remarkable precision, not as punishment, but as natural law. The seed determines the harvest. When you shift your dominant thoughts, you shift the very foundation of your experience. Thought also forms the images that your subconscious uses to guide your actions. When you think repeatedly of success, of opportunity, of expansion, your subconscious begins to direct your attention toward possibilities that align with those images. You begin to notice what you once ignored. You take steps with greater confidence. You interpret challenges differently. Thought shapes perception, and perception shapes behavior. Even small shifts in thought can create enormous shifts in outcome because they alter the lens through which you view the world. The mind is a filter, and thought determines what passes through. The creative power of thought does not require force or strain. It requires consistency. Just as a seed does not grow by being shouted at, your desired outcomes do not manifest through anxiety or desperation. They manifest through calm, steady focus. A single thought repeated daily with faith has more creative power than 1,000 frantic wishes. This is why silence, reflection, and intention are so powerful. They allow your thoughts to crystallize. They give your inner seeds the chance to root deeply, instead of being scattered by distraction. Thought also influences emotion, and emotion accelerates manifestation. When a thought is infused with feeling, joy, gratitude, anticipation, certainty, it gains momentum. Emotion waters the seed. When you imagine something with emotion, your subconscious treats it as real, responding as though it is already happening. This alignment draws opportunities into your life that resonate with that emotional state. Your thoughts set the direction, your emotions give the energy. Together, they create a magnetic force that shapes your experience with astonishing precision. But thought must be chosen. Many people allow their minds to wander into past regrets, imagined fears, or self-defeating narratives. These thoughts feel harmless in the moment, but they plant seeds that eventually manifest as obstacles, delays, or patterns repeating themselves. When you think unconsciously, you manifest unconsciously. When you think deliberately, you manifest deliberately. This is why the practice of directing thought is a spiritual responsibility. You are the gardener of your inner life. What you allow to grow will grow. Thought is also intimately connected to belief. A thought repeated becomes a belief, and a belief becomes a framework through which reality is interpreted. When you believe that the world is abundant, you experience opportunities with greater clarity and confidence. When you believe that life works against you, you overlook doors that are already open. Belief is simply thought solidified through repetition and emotion. When you change your thoughts, you begin to soften and reshape your beliefs. When your beliefs shift, your entire reality shifts with them. Transformation begins not with outer effort, but with inner choice. The power of thought is not limited by time or circumstance. A single decision to redirect your thinking can change the trajectory of everything that follows. Even when the outer world seems fixed, your inner world remains fluid, responsive, and creative. The outer world is slow clay, the inner world is swift fire. Thought molds the fire that eventually reshapes the clay. You are never trapped by conditions because conditions respond to thought. You are never powerless because thought is the first point of power. Thought creates resonance, and resonance attracts. This is why people who think in terms of possibility tend to encounter opportunities, while those who dwell on problems tend to encounter more obstacles. The mind is a transmitter, sending out signals that the universe matches. The signal may be hope, fear, expectation, or doubt, but it always attracts its own kind. You cannot fool the universe by pretending. It responds to your true inner state, not the mask you wear. When your thoughts and inner feelings align with what you desire, manifestation becomes natural. Thought also shapes identity. What you think about yourself becomes what you expect from yourself. When you think thoughts of strength, resilience, worthiness, and capability, you step into behaviors that reflect those qualities. When you entertain thoughts of inadequacy, those thoughts form a self-image that limits action. Identity is simply the accumulation of thoughts believed over time. When you shift your inner dialogue, you shift your identity, and when your identity shifts, your life must follow. Thought is the beginning of every transformation. Before a new life is lived, it is imagined. Before a new chapter opens, it is mentally conceived. Before a breakthrough occurs, a thought breaks through the old pattern. This is why vision is so powerful. Vision is thought with intention. Thought creates possibility long before possibility becomes reality. The moment you begin thinking differently, you begin creating differently. Faith activates unseen support because it opens the invisible channels through which guidance, timing, and opportunity flow into your life. Faith is not blind optimism or wishful thinking. It is a deep inner knowing that there are forces working in your favor, even when you cannot see movement on the surface. When you choose faith over fear, you step into alignment with these forces. You stop resisting, doubting, or blocking what is already trying to reach you. Faith is the vibration that allows the unseen to become seen. It is the bridge between desire and manifestation, the inner permission that lets the universe move on your behalf. When you hold faith, you communicate to the universe that you trust the process. This trust creates a clear, energetic pathway. Doubt clutters the path with conflicting signals. Fear blocks the flow. Worry scatters your attention and weakens your vibration. But faith centers you. It focuses your intention. It keeps your energy steady, even when circumstances appear contradictory. Faith does not require evidence, it creates the evidence. It is the spiritual equivalent of planting a seed and trusting that it will grow underground long before it breaks the soil. Faith activates unseen support because it shifts your inner state into one of openness. When you believe something is possible, you become receptive to intuitive nudges, unexpected ideas, and subtle impulses that guide you toward your goal. These nudges are easy to miss when your mind is clouded with doubt. But in a state of faith, you recognize them immediately. You feel a pull toward certain choices. You sense when something is meant for you. You see signs, synchronicities, and coincidences that confirm your path. What others call luck is often the result of faith aligning someone with the invisible currents of timing and opportunity. Faith also strengthens your resilience. When you believe support is available, you no longer collapse at the first obstacle. You interpret challenges differently. Instead of seeing them as proof that things are going wrong, you see them as part of a larger unfolding. You trust that setbacks are redirections, not rejections. This trust keeps your energy stable. It prevents you from giving up too early. Faith expands your endurance, allowing you to stay aligned long enough for the unseen forces to complete their work behind the scenes. Many people quit not because their desire was impossible, but because they lost faith before the unseen had time to become seen. When you hold faith, your subconscious mind begins to work in harmony with your intention. It becomes alert to solutions, opportunities, and resources that match your belief. You take steps more confidently, you make decisions with clarity. Your actions become naturally aligned with the outcome you expect. This alignment creates momentum, and momentum attracts assistance. People come into your life unexpectedly. Conversations reveal opportunities. Doors open that you did not even know existed. Faith initiates a chain reaction of inner alignment and outer support. Faith activates unseen support by raising your vibration. A state of faith is calm, steady, elevated. It is free from panic, urgency, and scarcity. This elevated vibration matches you with experiences that reflect stability, abundance, and possibility. It draws in circumstances that resonate with confidence rather than fear. Your energy becomes magnetic. People sense it. Situations respond to it. Life cooperates with it. Faith does not force outcomes. It attracts them by becoming energetically compatible with them. Faith is also a declaration of worthiness. When you believe that something good can come to you, you are affirming your right to receive it. Many desires remain unfulfilled because people unconsciously believe they are not worthy of the blessings they seek. They want something but expect disappointment. Faith dissolves this pattern. It declares, "I am worthy of what I desire." This declaration activates support because the universe responds to your expectation. When you expect good, good finds you. When you expect struggle, struggle finds you. Faith trains your expectation to align with your desire. Unseen support is always present, but it cannot intervene where fear dominates. Fear closes the door, faith opens it. When you are afraid, you contract, and contraction blocks flow. Faith creates expansion, and expansion allows energy, guidance, and opportunity to move freely. Even when nothing appears to be happening externally, faith ensures that everything is happening internally and spiritually. It keeps the energetic channels open. It allows the subtle forces of timing, alignment, and synchronicity to assemble the pieces you cannot yet see. Faith changes your inner conversation. Instead of asking, "What if it doesn't work?" faith asks, "What if it does?" Instead of thinking, "I don't know how," faith thinks, "The way will be shown." This shift seems simple, but it is profound. It transforms your emotional state. It transforms your choices. It transforms how you show up in the world. Your energy becomes cooperative rather than resistant. This cooperation signals to the universe that you are ready to receive support, You no longer block the flow with doubt. Faith also awakens spiritual guidance. When you believe in possibility, you attune yourself to a higher wisdom. You sense direction that you cannot logically explain. You feel called toward certain paths. You experience moments of clarity that pierce through confusion. This guidance is subtle, but it becomes loud when you are listening through faith. Doubt numbs intuition. Faith sharpens it. The unseen world speaks clearly to the mind that believes. When you hold faith, you shift from trying to control outcomes to allowing outcomes. You stop forcing. You stop overthinking. You stop pushing. You move from anxiety to alignment. This surrender is not weakness. It is allowing. It is trusting that the forces working beyond your sight know the timing, the method, and the arrangement far better than your limited human perspective. When you step back from control, unseen support steps forward. It orchestrates details you could never arrange on your own. Faith also transforms your relationship with time. When you trust the unseen, you stop demanding immediate results. You stop panicking when delays occur. You understand that timing is part of the process, not a threat to the outcome. This patience keeps your vibration high. It keeps your energy steady. It prevents you from sabotaging your own progress through frustration or doubt. Faith creates space for miracles because it refuses to rush the unfolding. Faith is the inner signal that activates the outer response. It is the spiritual permission that allows the universe to intervene. It is the inner alignment that draws outer alignment. It is the unseen fire that lights the visible path. Life aligns with a definite request because the universe responds to clarity with precision, arranging circumstances, opportunities, and connections according to the intention you hold firmly within. A definite request is more than a wish. It is a focused, unwavering declaration of what you are ready to experience. When your desire becomes definite, your energy becomes organized. Your mind stops drifting. Your emotions become steady. Your choices grow intentional. This coherence sends out a clear signal that life can respond to. The universe does not hesitate when you do not hesitate. It does not doubt when you do not doubt. It follows the clarity you offer because clarity is direction. A definite request is a command to your inner world, and the inner world governs the outer. When you are vague or uncertain, you create mixed signals. One moment you want one thing, the next moment something else. One day you believe it is possible, the next day you retreat in fear. This lack of certainty makes it difficult for your subconscious to form a blueprint, and without a blueprint, life has nothing solid to build from. But when you become definite, calmly, confidently, deliberately, you give the universe a pattern. That pattern becomes the mold into which your experience flows. Life aligns with a definite request because certainty carries power. When you know what you want, you stop entertaining distractions. You stop accepting what contradicts your intention. You stop wasting time on paths that do not match your vision. Instead, you begin to notice openings that support your desire. You see opportunities that once went unnoticed. You recognize conversations, ideas, and encounters that relate directly to your intention. Your focus sharpens. Your awareness heightens. You begin moving in harmony with what you have declared. This cooperation between inner clarity and outer observation creates momentum. A definite request shifts your vibration. When you choose something clearly, you stop wavering emotionally. Your feelings begin to align with expectation rather than uncertainty. You feel anticipation instead of doubt. You feel direction instead of confusion. This emotional alignment changes the energetic signal you send into the world. Life responds to your dominant vibration, and when that vibration is clear and consistent, it draws matching experiences with remarkable accuracy. You attract people who resonate with your intention. You encounter situations that reflect your certainty. Your energy becomes a magnet. Your subconscious mind also becomes organized when your request is definite. The subconscious is incredibly receptive to direction, but it requires clarity. It cannot follow contradictions. When you give it a clear instruction, it begins arranging thoughts, habits, and behavioral patterns that correspond to that instruction. You start taking actions that reflect your desire without forcing yourself. You feel nudged toward ideas or steps that support your intention. Solutions appear more quickly. Resistance softens. The subconscious becomes a powerful assistant when it knows exactly what you want. Life aligns with a definite request because spiritual law responds to decisiveness. The moment you decide, unseen forces begin shifting. People who need to exit your life drift away. Opportunities that match your desire begin approaching. Circumstances that no longer serve your intention dissolve. This reorganization is not random. It is the natural consequence of clarity. When you declare your direction, life clears the path ahead. But if you remain indecisive, life waits. It does not rearrange itself around uncertainty. A definite request also transforms your self-image. When you choose something clearly, you begin to see yourself as the kind of person who can receive it. Your thoughts about yourself shift. Your confidence begins to rise. You stop settling. You begin acting from the identity of someone who deserves what they desire. This identity shift is powerful because the outer world always mirrors the inner identity. When your self-concept aligns with your desire, life must follow suit. Experiences, relationships, and opportunities will begin to match the person you have internally become. A definite request communicates your willingness to receive. Many people want things but have not allowed themselves to be truly open to receiving them. Their desire is clouded by fear, guilt, or the belief that wanting too much is wrong. But when you make a definite request, you overcome that inner conflict. You say, through your clarity, I am ready. This readiness is essential because life cannot deliver what you resist. Clarity removes resistance. When you declare your desire with certainty, you remove the inner blocks that once prevented its arrival. Life aligns with a definite request because it simplifies the path. Instead of being pulled in many directions, you now follow a single thread. Even if obstacles arise, you remain centered because you know what you are moving toward. This stability allows you to interpret challenges differently. You no longer see them as signs to stop, but as steps in the unfolding. You move with purpose rather than confusion. Every action, no matter how small, becomes meaningful. Every decision becomes aligned. This sense of direction accelerates your progress because you are no longer drifting. A definite request attracts assistance from places you could never predict. People appear who have the information you need. Conversations bring insights. A chance encounter becomes a breakthrough. Timing becomes almost uncanny. This is the effect of alignment. When your inner world is coherent, the outer world arranges itself coherently as well. Life becomes less random. Events begin to feel orchestrated. Synchronicities increase. These moments of alignment are not coincidence. They are the natural result of a clear inner directive. When you are definite in your request, your fears lose power. Fear thrives in uncertainty. It grows when you are unsure, when your thoughts contradict each other, when your desires shift. But when your intention becomes clear, fear has less room to influence you. Doubt fades because doubt feeds on vagueness. Once you know what you want, the mind becomes calmer. You no longer ask endless what-ifs. You focus on the outcome instead of the obstacles. This mental clarity strengthens your emotional stability, which in turn strengthens your energetic alignment. A definite request also simplifies decision-making. When you know what you want, every choice becomes easier. You can quickly distinguish between what supports your goal and what distracts from it. You find it easier to say yes to what matters and no to what doesn't. This prevents you from wasting time, energy, or attention on things that lead nowhere. The more definite your request, the more efficient your journey becomes. Life aligns with a definite request because clarity communicates commitment. When you commit to your desire, the universe commits to assisting you. Indecision sends the message that you are not ready. Decision sends the message that you are prepared. And once you declare readiness, the process of manifestation accelerates. It becomes less about struggle and more about cooperation. It becomes less about forcing and more about allowing. It becomes less about hoping and more about expecting.